find that experience? Was it scary? Yeah. Would we all agree that it was a very anxiety-inducing experience? Yeah. Start shaking after it was finished. Yeah. Because, thank you guys, you can sit down. I just wanted to, is everyone comfortable talking about this? Yeah? Just because I know that it can be a very emotive subject, particularly if someone's collapsed as a result of choking. I've dealt with it outside of hospital, as have we all. You know, it's incredibly anxiety-inducing, as I've said, because you can look at somebody that's alive, awake, start to choke, and then become unconscious, and then they might need chest compressions. Yeah? So, because it's that urgent, we need to move quite quickly. So, what is choking? How would we define it? It is a blockage of the airway, absolutely. And we know that most adults are going to choke on what? Food, absolutely. Yeah. Whereas children might choke more on foreign bodies. Yeah. So marbles, little toys, plastic things. Yeah. Is anybody going to be working in the children's hospital?
No. It's about 2, and I think they might both be in the afternoon.
Okay, right, that's fine. Just to say, if you do end up transferring, there's very separate training. What I'm talking about today is just for adults, okay, 16 and above, right? So we've got an algorithm, which, let's be honest, you don't want to be getting this out in an emergency, which is why I'm talking to you today. It's a simple algorithm, but this is a teaching aid. So the first thing that you're going to do, if I'm choking, is what? Yeah. What did you say? Maybe do a little assessment? Yeah, I like that. And you were, can I breathe? Yeah. I like that, because that tells me that you're actually assessing the severity of how blocked my airway is, doesn't it? Yeah. So is there something else that you might be able to ask me to do? Yeah, absolutely. Somebody over there said cough, well done. So how would I cough? I have to take a breath in to get air behind that cough. So if I can't get that air in, or it's very difficult for me to do that, then I haven't got an effective cough. So we ask somebody to cough. There's also a really good question that you can ask someone who's choking. Yeah? Are you choking? And they're going to go and point, international sign of airway obstruction. Something's wrong. Going to be very panicked. Yeah? So we have to reassure them. We ask them to cough. You categorise them as ineffective cough or effective cough. And for that effective cough, we're going to sit them, we're going to call for help, let the nurses know that we've got someone with maybe a partial airway obstruction. Yeah? Going to sit them down. I'm not going to touch them. The nurses might put oxygen on them. We're going to treat them really delicately, because we don't want that obstruction to get worse. Yeah? And we're going to watch them. If you've got an ineffective cough, that's when we need to move into the choking algorithm. Because if your airway is blocked, you cannot breathe, and without breathing, your heart will go into cardiac arrest. Yeah?
How long do you have from choking? What's the time measurement?
Well, they say 3 minutes before your brain's starved of oxygen and you go unconscious. Yeah? So it depends on multiple factors, but we need to move very quickly. Alright. So the first thing that we're going to do is call for help. If someone's got an ineffective cough, you are going to shout and holler so that someone else on the ward comes. Okay? We have emergency buzzers that we can pull, but I want you to be informing the nurse that you're working alongside on the ward, or a medical person. So we don't want you dealing with this on your own, and as Saf's already shown you, people need to do a lot of things at the same time to get help, don't they? It's not a tick box list that happens, right, I start CPR, tick, I go get the crash trolley, tick. Actually, we're working as a team, aren't we, with this sideways approach all the time. So, if you've got an ineffective cough, you've shouted for help, the first thing that you're going to do is what? Has anybody done it before? Yeah, absolutely, back blows. So what do we mean by back blows? There's a big portion of my back in here. Yeah?
between the shoulder
It is, it's at the top, between the shoulder blades. And it's using the heel of your palm, which is that nice hard part, is your wrist bone, yeah? Don't want you slapping on somebody's back with your fingers or your palm, because you might injure yourself and it's not going to be an effective manoeuvre. What we are trying to do is deliver a blow to the back that's got enough momentum to hopefully remove that obstruction from the upper airway. Yeah? Are you alright? You've dealt with it before. It's super scary. I know, yeah. It is really scary. So, what we would do, if you could just turn around for a sec. So this part on this interactive choking vest that you'll get to play with later is where we're going to deliver those back blows. It's in between the shoulder blades in the middle of the back, so upper back there. And what I'm going to do is if I just go and whack Sam on the back now, what's she going to do? She might fall over, she might go flying into the wall. So, and also, because of the shape of the airway, if I get that obstruction out, it might not actually come out of the airway. So what else might I have to do? Brilliant. Guys, you're doing great. I'm thinking about this really logically. So what I'm going to do is put my hand on Sam's shoulder. I'm going to say, Sam, don't rate. I'm just going to lean you forward, and I'm going to deliver the back blows. Now it's up to 5. 5 is your magic number. I say up to 5 because am I still going to do 5 if it comes out in the first one? No, I'm not going to keep whacking somebody. No. So it's up to 5. You're assessing in between. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sam, you're still choking. Okay, so that's not worked. So I'm going to move on to the next manoeuvre, which is what?
The Heimlich.
Yeah, so we used to call it the Heimlich manoeuvre. We don't anymore. We call it an abdominal thrust. Okay, so it's back blows and abdominal thrusts. Now to do the abdominal thrust, if you all find where your rib cage is, and then find your belly button, yeah, you're going to go in between there. Alright, so that's where you are putting a fist, yeah, and you're going to cup that fist, and that's where you're going to go on the person that you're doing it on, like that. Now the manoeuvre that we're doing, I'm not just pulling straight back, that's just going to squish the tummy, it's not going to do anything, yeah? Yeah, I need to go in and up. So if you imagine a J shape or a fish hook, that's the shape of the manoeuvre that we're doing. I'm trying to get my hands up and under that rib cage so it forces that air out of my lungs to remove that obstruction. I'll demonstrate on here. This is representing Sam's stomach, okay, and this is Sam's windpipe, alright. Now to do this manoeuvre, you can't do it slow because we need to generate some force. So it needs to be a snappy manoeuvre, alright? You can't do it slow. And it's up to 5 again. So I'm going to go under your arms. I'll tell you what you can do if you can't get your arms around somewhere in a minute. So I might go 1, 2, 3. Okay, and on that third manoeuvre, we managed to get that obstruction out. What if I'd have done 5 abdominal thrusts and that hadn't have worked? We go back to back blows. What if those 5 back blows don't work? We go back to abdominal thrusts, and you keep going until one of 2 things happens. 1, it comes out, or 2, Sam collapses. As soon as Sam collapses on the floor, we presume cardiac arrest, and you do exactly what Sam and Sav have just shown you how to do on this mannequin. Especially if the airway's still blocked, yes. We don't know. We have to presume that the airway's blocked because that's what's caused them to collapse. There is some evidence to suggest that actual chest compressions will help to maybe dislodge that obstruction, yeah? The take-home message here is unconscious choking victims need CPR, not back blows. Okay? You only do back blows and abdominal thrusts if they are awake. Alright? Yeah?